Welcome to Full Speed Ahead. I'm Craig Fuller here with Jeff Cox, the founder and CEO of VeriTread.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Jeff, welcome to Chattanooga.
Yeah, wonderful city. Enjoy being here. Great weather. Thanks again.
Now, VeriTread is not a household name yet,
Right.
In freight, but you guys have a really interesting story. You're bridging construction tech with freight tech. I'm curious, what is your pitch when you're going out and talking to potential clients?
Yeah, it's a very interesting story. So where we've seen a lot of these digital freight companies come out with a lot of sizzle and hype, we've taken a very different approach. We actually got hands-on and got in the mud and the crud with these truckers and really learned our industry at a granular level. So a little background, I spent 10 years with Lockheed Martin and I come from a software development background. But my family had a long legacy in the heavy equipment business. My grandfather and father owned and operated a number of Komatsu distributors. So in 2005, I took my life savings, I bought a fleet of Peterbilt trucks, and I dove into the heavy haul trucking industry. And really with my background, I thought that I would have it automated in about 6 months, and we're on about year 10. So a little bit more challenging than I thought. But looking back over that, it's really a differentiator. I've got a background in big data and big freight, and merging those two with a hands-on understanding has really given us the respect of the whole industry, carriers and shippers alike.
You guys are a matching platform for oversized and heavy-duty equipment.
That's right. High, wide, and heavy, is sort of the moniker we use, but heavy haul specific, and it goes a little bit beyond matching. We've got a lot of proprietary technology that just eliminates friction from the process. So we can take this hard to move freight, and our software can look at, say a Cat D8 bulldozer, and it can tell you how to disassemble it, how it's going to load out, which pieces go on which style trucks, and then because we have that proprietary matching technology, we can then match it to the appropriate carrier capacity. So
it goes beyond just putting a truck and a load together, which is, compared to what you're doing, is quite simple. Even with all the difficulty of efficiently matching it, what you've got to do is take it to the next level, which is help the folks on the site, break down all of the heavy-duty equipment,
yep,
and then put it and match it to the appropriate transportation mode that's going to ship it.
Yeah, and what we did early on was we did a lot of case studies and really took time to understand the industry. And heavy haul is a $40 billion segment, and because of the complexity and it's somewhat dangerous, and all of the carriers are fragmented, kind of mom and pop operators, all the big freight companies have literally ignored it. It doesn't fit into their machine or their barcode or whatever process they use. So we're really the first guys to draw a digital box around a bulldozer or front end loader and dive into the complexities of moving it. So
$40 billion TAM. Now, is the $40 billion for all of flatbed, or is it just the heavy haul portion?
That is North American construction equipment. So it's not even really all of heavy haul.
40 billion construction equipment movement, or just the industry itself?
Movement.
Got it. Wow,
yeah.
That's massive. I didn't realize it was that big. That's bigger than the dry bulk sector.
Well, the reason people have overlooked it is so many people are focused on load count. Well, our freight moves between $6 and $12 a mile. So it doesn't take as many loads to really drive up those numbers. And then, the heavy equipment business in of itself is $600 billion in the US, and so that's new and used combined.
Yeah, it's a massive space, and a really important space. A lot's happening in construction. Whether it's industrial infrastructure construction or what's happening with commercial and residential. I'm curious, what are you guys seeing?
We are seeing a lot of movement. The market has stayed steady. We are very fortunate to have some very strong equity partnerships. And so what we have noticed is that the new construction market, which is primarily the manufacturers and the distributors, are negatively correlated with the used equipment market. So when the auctions are strong, the dealers are a little weak. When the dealers are strong, the auctions are a little weak. And luckily, we have a foot in both doors. So from our perspective, it doesn't really matter so much.
Yeah, you've got some great investors that have helped back the company.
Yeah.
Who are those companies?
So we've got some very long-standing relationships, but our equity partners are Sumitomo, who is the world's largest trading company. United Rental is the world's largest rental company. Ritchie Brothers is the world's largest auction company, and then Caterpillar, who's the world's largest manufacturer of heavy equipment.
You got the world's biggest and baddest machines out there.
We've got some big partners. We've been very blessed in that regard.
So what's the plan with the business? You built this platform. You guys are commercial. You are doing transactions.
Yep.
What are some of the numbers? Did you talk publicly about numbers that you guys are doing?
Yeah, we're moving at this point. We're moving thousands of loads a day. Wow. In the platform. We haven't monetized all of those necessarily. Some of our tools are somewhat of a freemium model where we give them the tool in order to capture the freight, and then we are monetizing that as we go forward. So a couple different revenue models there. We have a traditional matching model where we take a fee when we match a carrier with a shipper, kind of a digital brokerage model, if you will. Then we also have a pure SaaS model for the high volume Caterpillar, Komatsu, Deere dealers. They pay us a flat monthly fee in order to use our platform to build and manage their own internal logistics program. Yeah,
that's amazing. As it relates to you guys scaling this business up, is there any competition in the market, or are you the only one at scale doing this?
Luckily, in terms of software platform, we're really the only ones of scale that are a significant player in the industry. So.
Are there humans? Do you have to? Because I imagine there's a lot of exceptions.
Yeah.
This business has a ton of exception management and trying to deal with, because it is big equipment and moving. You get permitting issues. You have all these things that go into the logistics of moving heavy equipment. I'm curious, do you have to have infrastructure with people?
Yeah, no, funny you should say that. So, I came up through the software business with Lockheed, and then the trucking business with my trucking company, and now in the software business. And I convinced all my investors that I had fully automated all of the critical challenges, which we had. And now we have recently launched a Chicago office called VeriTread Exchange, and that's where we're housing our human capital, who actually helps facilitate some of these challenges, does some consulting. And what we found was the industry hadn't quite caught up to us. They want that
human element.
Touchy-feely.
It's interesting because even the most successful or largest scale digital brokers are finding that they have to have humans in the background as well. And it's interesting because looking at the digital players and the traditional players, the traditional folks are having to invest in technology to sort of catch up. Yeah. And the digital guys are having to sort of build out their human capital teams.
Yeah, that's right. And there's somewhat of a dichotomy there, and we've recognized that. And so we launched that about 2 months ago, and it is scaling like wildfire. I mean, we're very excited about that portion of the business.
Why'd you pick Chicago?
Honestly, that's where the talent was. It was a hub. We hired Tim Paulson, who was with XPO and then Uber Freight, to come run that for us, and he's building the team there, and it's well connected. And then we also have our CIO is out of Chicago, so we just had to go where the people were.
Do you think Chicago's the greatest freight city in the country, or?
I have a lot of respect for Chicago. I like the city. Every time I'm there, I have a good time. But I think in terms of freight hubs, where you guys are, Chattanooga, Austin, there's some other very attractive cities. But.
Yeah, we will argue in Chattanooga that Chattanooga is the better freight city than Chicago. In fact, we're going to do that at our show in Chicago. We're actually having a debate on whether Chicago or Chattanooga is the better freight city.
Okay.
So we'll see, because my argument is that there are more folks per capita in freight in Chattanooga than there are in Chicago. Chicago's argument is just more people, but the community here is more connected. So I was just curious.
Yeah, so I grew up in a 3-generation Komatsu family, and they have a big manufacturing facility in Chicago off Signal Mountain Road, and I have hauled literally 100,000 tons of excavators out of Chattanooga.
Yeah. On Signal Mountain Road here.
That's right.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, Chicago, we have that too, but you know.
We know all about Chicago's manufacturing capacity. We've been hauling out here for a long time, a lot of different models.
Yeah, Chattanooga's, it's interesting because you're seeing this sort of transition from where logistics was not respected, it was sort of ignored, to where now I think people locally have realized that it's a really important sector. I mean, most of the really fast-growing companies in town have some connection to freight somehow, so it's been an important story for us. Where does the business go for you guys? Is the plan to raise venture capital, scale it up? sell it to a large OEM of equipment, or how do you? I mean, construction tech is if you look at freight tech and construction tech, they're some of the two hottest sectors right now in SaaS.
Yeah, and it's amazing that we have run unopposed as long as we have, but we are in the process of building very sticky long-term integrations with these large multinational equity partners and other customers that I mentioned. And they will become reliant on our platform moving forward. I mean, they're literally sunsetting how they do it today, and they're putting their eggs into our baskets in terms of logistics. And so when you look at, say that you bought an excavator from a Ritchie Brothers auction, there is no Amazon Prime. It's a complicated process to get that from the physical auction to your facility. And so we are overcoming those challenges, and once those integrations are built, hopefully one or more of these companies will feel the need to step in and own a little bit more. So.
Yeah, it strikes me as interesting is when I look at what's happening in the broader brokerage space, and the idea, I'm going to borrow a term, Uberize it, or can you digitize the space? When you're dealing with the space that a lot of the digital brokers, which is a commoditized market where it's drive-in, maybe refrigerated, it's a pretty vanilla market. It's effectively a commodity because it's all price sensitive. It strikes me that in the future, these very specialized, where you need human capital, human intelligence, and real deep domain expertise, those are going to be the next great logistics platforms. And they're the ones that are going to survive in the digital revolution because they are impossible to commoditize. You have to have that human knowledge to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I wish I could say I was this great visionary who saw all of this ahead of time. But the truth is, we started to solve one problem at a time. So one of our early seed investors was a company called IronPlanet, and they were backed by Kleiner Perkins and Caterpillar and some industry guys. And they needed a pricing tool. And so we quickly became the largest aggregator of pricing data and gave them an estimator widget so their customers could know what to spend. And then we created a load advisor tool that digitally profiled the freight and told their customers how to load it and how to move it, what permits it needs and escorts and things like that. And then we created a proprietary rating and feedback system so they knew what carriers to trust, et cetera, et cetera. And then I remember when Uber launched, I was in the Atlanta airport and I used the app for the first time, and all the pieces came together. It's like, well, we got a rating system, we got carrier capacity, we got mobile tools, we got pricing, and it really showed us the interface. I don't think it will ever be a fully Uberized model. There needs to be
your model.
That's right. Our freight moves anywhere from $2,500 to $50,000 a load. So you don't just blindly pick the guy that's closest.
No, I mean, you're talking about critical infrastructure. I had done some specialized equipment logistics in my past, and you're going out to a job site. If you're late, you've got union work. Sometimes you have union. You have to have permits. You have like you go to the Northeast. I think we did some projects in New York where they were building an event center, and you had union workers on the ground.
Yeah.
You had to have permits. You had to have permission from the city. It was a mess. And if you were late, it wasn't like you could move to the next day. You missed a targeted day. It was very critical.
That's right. A lot of times, big road contractors and things, they will actually incur penalties for going over on a job or not finishing on time. So the stakes are high. But on the flip side, because it is B2B and it is heavy equipment, you don't have a lot of price sensitivity. There's certainly some. Price is always an issue, but that's not what we sell. We do have a sophisticated bidding engine that will allow you to extend your reach and get more competitive quotes, but we don't sell price. We sell service, we sell ease of transaction, and then also give these big companies the ability to enforce centralized freight management disciplines.
Yeah, it strikes me at price. It makes sense why price wouldn't be the number one thing. I think everybody wants to be treated fairly, and they want to have transparency to where the market's at. But ultimately, in your world, it's about the human intelligence and the logistics of the logistics that become pretty critical.
That's right. And to that point, we have tried very hard not to focus on one side of the market. It's, we've seen people try to come into this space before, and they'll say, we'll cut your shipping costs by 75%. And one, it's just not true. You can't do it. in a lot of ways, capacity is tightening, maybe not so much in the recent months, but as a continual trend. And we have to have a lot of respect for the carriers, and we have to watch out for their interests. And we have to build tools that accommodate their needs, as well as the Caterpillars and the Komatsus of the world.
Is construction down right now, or is it, what does it feel like right now to you?
You know, we see a ton of movement, but I think a lot of that is how quickly we are scaling. So it's not necessarily a great indicator of the overall housing market or construction market, but my gut tells me that it's got to soften, if not already softening.
Got it. So it's not a bang bang market like we've seen in
That's right. We're grabbing market share at such a rapid rate that for us it seems like it's growing exponentially, but that's probably not an indicator of the overall construction industry.
Got it, got it. Well, Jeff, I really appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing the story play out. Are you going to be in Chicago at FreightWaves Live?
Yes, we are planning.
Are you registered?
I'll have to check with my man Jeff Ogren. I am sure we are. If not, we will be.
You can get that taken care of on site. We do that. We have concierge service here at FreightWaves Live. If you're not registered for FreightWaves Live, do it today. It's on November 12th and 13th. Jeff will be there. You can hear a great story. It's a really fascinating business, very differentiated from the other platforms in the space. Really excited to see where this goes. Congratulations on your success so far, and Godspeed on your journey.
Everyone knows Chicago is the freight capital of the entire world. I don't know why you think Chattanooga is. It's not. Why are we even having a debate about this? Let's put this to bed. Chicago versus Chattanooga. Everyone knows it's Chicago. That's the birthplace of the logistics industry. You're going down, Craig.